everyone, this is Keith Scott from Apple City, Australia. I'm one of the voices of Blue Energy Rules. It's time to watch Relentless and Unstoppable. And so give it up for your main hosts, Douglas Kenney and Andy McPhee.
Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenney from Relentless and Unstoppable. I hope everyone is doing good. So for today's recording, I'm going to be doing something I haven't done yet, but something that, I've been meaning to do for a while. I've decided to do a Q&A, and I had some past fans and past guests on the channel submit some Q&A questions that I'm going to use to explain a little bit more about myself that people don't know. And I have 70 questions that are going to be asked of me for this Q&A session, and hopefully it allows you to learn some things about myself that you might find interesting, maybe not. And it's all about honesty and truth in this entire session. So, yeah, let's begin, shall we? First question I have is, what's the best question I've ever been asked? Well, if I had to pick the best question that I've ever been asked, I would say it was probably when I was asked by my pastor at a local church in 2016 if I was sure that I'm doing a good job in my personal life, which was a question that led up to me seeking help because at the time in 2016 I was not really in a good place. My parents were in a divorce, and my senior year didn't really go well in high school. And so, you know, I went up to a pastor when I reached a point of a low moment and asked him for guidance. And he asked me, are you sure that everything in your personal life is going good? Which at the time it wasn't. And so getting that question led to feedback that ultimately led to me seeking Andy McPhee as a mentor. So that's a good one. Who's the most influential person in your life? Well, ultimately, as a guy who's religious, my most influential person is Jesus Christ. But as far as somebody that was on earth that impacted my life tremendously, and it was through Jesus, was definitely Andy McPhee. My coach and mentor, Andy McPhee, was a huge influence in my life, and he guided me out of that really tough years that I went through and guided me into being more self-confident and also, figuring out things about my life that I hadn't figured out yet. I only did like 15 to 20 sessions with him for $4,000 from 2015 until 2020. And, they were by far the greatest mentorship and coaching I ever did and ever got the opportunity to be part of. And, Andy McPhee's mentorship and impact will resonate with me for the rest of my life. Andy's going to leave behind a great legacy, especially since his mentorship helped Sydney Sweeney and Cody Smith McPhee and a variety of other people I know that have been clients of his. And so, that was cool. Andy McPhee is always going to have a great legacy in my heart. Where would I be if I hadn't followed my dream? I would be dead, literally and figuratively. I would be dead because I would continue to be ruled by soda and my soda addiction. I was up to almost 400 pounds, if not 400 pounds to begin with, when I was morbidly obese, and 320 to 400 is where it ranged. But if I continued drinking the soda through 2020 and beyond, I would be dead right now from a heart attack or diabetes. And so, Andy's guidance, is what led me to quit that addiction. So I would be dead. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. What's the best decision I've ever made in my life? The best decision I've ever made in my life is by far quitting the soda addiction on March 6th of 2020. Quitting the soda, as much as my decision to seek Andy McPhee as my coach and mentor is also on that list, I would say quitting soda was the best decision I ever made. Soda was ruling over me to where it was interfering with relationships, and it was also leading me to commit sin and to get into trouble and leading to my cyberbullying on social media from 2014 up until 2016. So, quitting the soda ended a lot of problems for me and led to me becoming a better person. So, and it also saved my life because if I didn't do that, as I mentioned, I would be dead today. So, yeah. What's my deepest regret and how can I forgive myself or make amends? By far, the biggest regret I have is cyberbullying people on social media from 2014 until up until 2017, I think, It was a period that I call the Brad Keselowski phase. We all know what happened at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in 2014, That led to me developing and sharing hostility with the world and led to me cyberbullying Brad and cyberbullying his devout fans. And, it cost me relationships and, led to people distancing themselves from me. And, my behavior on social media was horrible. I should have been taken off Facebook for what I was getting myself into, but, I should have had my account locked many times, and I should have probably even been banned permanently from Facebook with what I was doing on social media. I was very lucky it was only relationships being cost and not, and, being stalled because of that and not being kicked out of the platform altogether. Because if I had been kicked out, I wouldn't have gotten to be able to do the RNU channel with everything. So my decision to make amends and let my actions speak by ending the bullying and learning how to use social media better, that's how I ended up forgiving myself. And later on, I went on to have Brad Keselowski on my channel, and we were able to bury the hatchet, and I was able to better understand his perspectives of the Charlotte deal better. So by far, that was one of the best decisions I ever made, also, was apologizing to Brad, even though I still maintain my belief that Brad was in the wrong at Charlotte, but it didn't matter because there was no excuse for what I did on social media, no excuse whatsoever. And so that's my biggest regret by far is, being dumb enough to bring my hostilities to the world on social media and to others that weren't part of it. So, yeah, that's my regret. But I forgave myself and I made amends by simply apologizing and letting my actions speak, like Nike, as they say, just do it. So,
Gee, that's all we have for Relentless and Unstoppable. So tune into the next episode to hear more amazing stories from amazing guests. This is Keith Scott from Sydney, Australia saying so long, and I'm smarter than the average bear. Gee.